Good morning, counselors, and welcome to our Cal State LA Admissions and Recruitment Spring 25 TSP Counselor Information Session. We are very excited to have you all with us. We're going to allow just a little bit of time for more counselors to join us. We see everyone slowly coming in. We're very excited to have you here with us, and we have some great updates and announcements for you. All right. It's starting to level off a bit. So again, good morning and welcome to our Cal State LA Spring 25 TSP and Counselor Information Session. My name is Marjani Chinema. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment with Admissions and Recruitment, and we are very excited to have you here with us. I would just like to cover some quick housekeeping items. And we're going to go to the next slide. All right, so this is a webinar and it is being recorded. Please don't fear. Although the chat is disabled, Q&A is available for you to type in any questions that you have for us. Please make sure that when you're posing your questions, you indicate which presenter it is directed towards, and please make sure that it is clear as possible. That way we can answer your question as clearly as possible. Also, don't worry, this recording will be available on our website once we have completed our session. We will also be offering information sessions for our students in preparation for Spring 25. As you all know, the filing period opens August 1st, so a lot of wonderful things going on. With that being said, we're going to switch gears and we're going to introduce our first presenter. With the Office of Admissions and Recruitment, we have our director, Ms. Tammy Leung. Welcome, Tammy, and thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all enjoying your summer. I can't believe it's actually August pretty soon. We're on July 30th. But we do have a lot of new things happening for spring. There are quite a couple of updates that have taken place at Cal State LA, so I wanted to take a chance and go over that with you this morning. So first thing, these are some just admissions at a glance for us. So spring 2025, admission eligibility is going to be based upon coursework completed through summer 2024. If a student does need the fall coursework for admission eligibility, then for those students, they need to contact us and appeal. And we'll look at coursework on a case-by-case basis. But in general, our admission decisions for spring will be based upon courses completed through summer 2024. We'll be opening for spring this Thursday, August 1st, and the deadline to apply is August 31. So please encourage all your interested students to apply within that time frame. As a friendly reminder for Cal State Apply applications, students do have to report all colleges and coursework completed. So make sure they have everything ready and they enter all information as accurately as possible. Unlike the fall, for the spring, as I mentioned, has most of the class of students already have completed. So hopefully those grades are readily available when they're filling out their application. The only possible grades that might still be pending would be their summer grades. But if they want to hold off, if they are taking summer classes, if they want to hold off until after the summer grades are done before applying, that would probably be the best. That way we get the most accurate information for decision making for the student. Cal State Apply transfer update. So we're one of the few campuses that require that process during our fall application terms, but it is not required for spring. And that's because, as I mentioned, for most of our decisions, we are basing off of summer information. So that should be already included in the app. So there's no transfer update process for spring applicants. The other piece is for spring, we are closed for international applicants. And that's typically because students, the visa process does take a while, and the shorter time frame between a spring application and spring start makes it very tight for students to get their I-20 and their respective visas. And because of that, we typically do not open for international applicants. However, if you are at a local California CC and the student already has their I-20 and visa ready, and all they need to do is transfer the visa to our school, have those students contact us directly for an appeal, and we may consider them for an app for spring. So what are some changes happening this spring, 2025? First, the big news, Cal State LA is no longer campus impacted. So at this point in time, we're not impacted at all programs. We're no longer campus impacted, but we do have 6 majors that are still impacted. So for those 6 majors, they do have specific criteria that we look at for mission purposes. But besides those 6 majors and 3 specialized majors, as long as students meet CSU minimum transfer eligibility, they should qualify for admission. The other big thing is that we are opening for lower division transfer students. This is actually the first in a long time. I don't remember ever opening for lower division transfer students prior, and I've been here for 20 years. But pretty much beginning spring 2025, lower division transfer students may apply to CalSTAT LA for admissions. So what are the programs that are still holding to major specific criteria? Okay, so our 6 impacted majors are computer science, criminal justice, nursing, psychology, social work, TV, film, and media studies. So those 6 majors are still looking at MSc for admission purposes. We also have 3 majors. They're not impacted, but because of the specialized coursework and preparation, we do require students to have supplemental criteria for admission. So fire protection admin technology bachelor's, students do have to complete the lower division fire science courses before transferring. So for that major, we do not open for lower division transfers. For music BM, which is our bachelor's in music, we do require an audition. So as part of their application process, students should plan to submit on an audition for that program. And then for urban learning BA and teacher prep, make sure students are on track to having at least an overall 2.5 GPA, and that's because of teacher credentialing purposes. So those 6 majors, impacted majors, and 3 specialized majors are the programs that we're looking at for elevated criteria or supplemental criteria for admission. And 7 of them, the impacted majors and fire protection, are not open for lower division transfer admission. So what are the upper division transfer admission requirements? These you guys are well versed in, I'm sure. So I'm just going to quickly just bring it up on the screen. Just a reminder, all these requirements should be completed by the end of summer 2024. If it needs be that they need that fall course completed, please remind students to apply. And then if needed, submit an appeal for us to consider the fall coursework for admission. The other very important thing is the English language proficiency requirement. That is the TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, all the various exams students take. Basically, if a student does not have at least 2 full-time years of education in a US or English-speaking school, and they don't meet the regular admission requirement, or that have at least A2 and A1 completed here in the US, then they need to take a proficiency exam. And this exam is required regardless of residency status. So they could be US citizens, but if they don't have the required years of education in an English-speaking institution, they will have to take that exam. The deadline for that exam test score is October 1st. So you have students in that situation, please encourage them to take the exams prior to then so that we get the scores by October 1st. Lower division transfers. So a quick refresher about what that means. Lower division transfers have to do 2 things. 1, meet freshman admission requirements. So typically for those, it's what we call the A3G subject courses, having a certain GPA at time of high school graduation, and of course, having equivalent to high school graduation. So that's our freshman requirements. Beyond that, they have less than 60 transferable units completed, and they have to have completed A2 and B4. So both those classes must also complete at grades of C or better, have minimum 2.0 college GPA, be in good standing, and same thing for English language proficiency exam if they don't have the required years of instruction at an English speaking institution. Major specific criteria, what is that? At CalSTAT LA, we've had these for a while. Basically, for our impacted majors and specialized majors, we have set minimum GPAs, required coursework, recommended coursework, and so on, with the primary focus of them being ready when they get here. They have all their lower division completed and they're ready to take on the classes for the program. We strongly encourage them to take the complete an associate degree for transfer, because a lot of that courses there do transfer over to our university. And for students, for the programs deemed similar, they do get the graduate guarantee within 60 units. So it's a great program. I know you guys know all about it. Encourage students to continue completing that. So what does it look like? So for our MSCs on the screen, here's an example, the one for social work. Social work is an impacted program. So for social work, if the students have an ADT, they need a 2.65 GPA minimum. If they don't have an ADT, then they have certain courses they have to take, as well as a 2.75 minimum GPA. And just a quick little thing about these programs for these majors. We do have MSCs, but just know that if there is room available after we meet all those students that do meet all the MSCs, we do consider students that don't have the required MSCs for admission as well. So it's not a must have, it's a aim to have. And if there's hopefully space available, if you don't have it, we may still consider you for admission. The other thing I want to mention here is for the Music BM program, the audition deadline for spring 2024 is September 13th. So approximately 2 weeks after the application deadline. Local preference area. So even though we're no longer campus impacted, like as I mentioned, we still have 6 majors that are program impacted. And for those 6 majors, we still look at local preference if needed for competitive admissions. So if students from our local preference community colleges like Glendale, LACCD, Pasadena City College, Rio Hondo, and Santa Monica, if we need to start ranking students from those local schools will have preference over students outside of our local area. And we continue to give local preference to our military students as well. So transfer admission rounds. How do we do admissions at Cal State LA? So there are 3 rounds that we go through for admissions. So our first round of admissions is for students that apply to non-impacted, non-specialized majors. So for those students, as long as they're CSU eligible by the end of summer 2024, we'll be meeting them for the spring 2025. After we do that, the second round, we looked at our impacted specialized majors. The students meet all the required criteria for those majors, except for nursing and Music BM, then we can offer them admissions to the university. Nursing is very competitive, so meeting the minimum MSCs will not qualify student for admission. On our webpage, there is detailed information about all the different factors that we look at for nursing admissions. But for spring, we're not opening for nursing. So if anything, that's more of a fall application period process. For round 3, after we meet everybody for our non-impacted majors, impacted majors, specialized majors, for those that applied for impacted specialized but don't meet the required MSC requirements, then at that point, we will offer them admission based upon space available. For this past fall, we're able to basically accommodate majority of the students who applied our impacted programs at CSU Mid. So we will admit students if there's space available for those programs. Spring 2025 timeline. So we planned to open August 1st, which is this Thursday. The deadline to apply is August 31. We hope to have decisions going out beginning in mid-September. That will be majority the non-impacted, non-specialized programs. And then by October, that's when we want to be finished with all our decision making. November 1st is our deadline for the enrollment confirmation deposit for students who wanted to, if offered admission, students pay their deposit and also submit their official transcripts already. So by November 1st, we hope to have all official transcripts from colleges attended with grades through summer 2024. So both the deposit and transcripts are due November 1st. And then beginning in late November, December, we start doing our orientation and advisement sessions. So students will get information about those 2 services after they pay the deposit. And then classes for spring for us begin on January 21st. And now, time for questions.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for your presentation. All right. So Crystal says, can a student be considered for lower division admissions if they have more than 60 units, but will not complete A1 or A3 by the deadline instead of relying on upper division admissions? By appeal. Example, A3 in progress in fall for spring admission.
So for lower division, it's strictly based upon unit count. So if a student has more than 60, then we cannot consider them lower division. They would have to be considered upper division, and then they would need to, as I mentioned, submit an appeal for the A1 or A3 during the fall for spring admission.
So let's see. Our next question. I advise STEM majors and many complete MSc in the fall. How will that impact their eligibility for spring admissions?
So for us, the only majors that might need MSc for admission would be the 6 impacted programs. And then also for FPAT, which is a Fire Protection Administration. So for those students, if we do end up admitting students at required MSc level, then at that point, those students can submit an appeal and for us to consider the fall coursework. It really depends on what we end up admitting, what level we admit at, and we won't know that until after we look at the entire applicant pool. Are there a few waivers offered for orientation? Rajani, are you Do you know the answer to that
There are
question?
not fee waivers offered for orientation. However, you can do a deferment to pay at a later time. And just for everyone to know that orientation fees will not be covered by financial aid. So if you need to do a deferment, you can definitely reach out to our orientation office, which is within New Student and Family Engagement, and they can assist you with that process or assist the students with that process. All right. So what we will do, we're going to transition. Tammy, thank you so much. Tammy will hang tight with us. That way, if there are any additional admission related questions that come through, we will have her expertise on hand. With that being said, we are transitioning to our transfer success pathways, and we are very excited to introduce our one of our newest team members, Anna Zimbardo. Hi, Anna.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you virtually. Hopefully, we get to meet each other in person at some point. My name is Ana Zambrano. I'm the TSP and Transfer Center Coordinator. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Please feel free to take a screenshot and save my contact information if you have any questions or you want to set up info sessions for your students. Transfer success pathways. We are working now to support students who have recently started community college, high school students, or someone that has an equivalent high school equivalent high school degree that have never had any college units, after graduation. The transfer success pathway is designed to increase access to provide a guaranteed pathway to Cal State LA for incoming community college students. This was set up by the chancellor, so it is a CSU-wide program. But with us, the TSP, we are guaranteeing admission to students that apply through the transfer success pathway. We also will be providing individualized support and exclusive invitations to campus events. So students will have access to Cal State LA a little bit earlier. There is an application period, which is from August 1st to September 30th. And the link, you can take a screenshot of that as well. The link for the TSP application is in that QR code. But it's also located on the CSU website, so everybody will be able to find it. This TSP works through the transfer planner. The transfer planner, it's a CSU planner, like I said. It has all of the information students need to know whenever they're looking to transfer. It's found in one place, so it's a great tool for students to use, whether they are first years or they've been at community college for a while. TSP is only for those that have been recently started, that are freshmen, but the planner is open to everyone. It is an online tool that provides community college students with information for all CSU programs that accept transfer students. And it has all of the transfer requirements. It gives them access to also see their progress. So they get information about all 23 programs for transfer admission related questions. It saves their progress, so they can, the student can actually go in there and share their include their information or course history that they have completed. So that gives a progress monitor as well. It provides that information for them. It logs any information from community college and compares their current GPA against transfer admission requirements. And they also receive tips on how to successfully transfer. Again, through the application for TSP, the Transfer Success Pathway, is through the transfer planner. So the student needs to create an account for the transfer planner, and then they can open a contract with TSP between August and September 30th. So the window is relatively close, but we are more than happy to assist and support students as they are working through this path.
Thank you so much, Anna. Anna will remain with us during this session as well. And we do want to acknowledge some of the questions that came in through the chat. Kirby, you had a really great question. For spring 25 applicants that applied for upper division transfer, but later find out that they were more in line as a lower division applicant, would they need to appeal? Is there a smooth process to get that changed after the deadline of August 31st has passed. And Tammy, thank you so much for your response in the chat as well. And she was just sharing, if we determine an applicant is lower division after application, we will request them to submit their high school and college transcript for review. However, to expedite the process, if a student knows they may be lower division, we highly encourage them to contact us as soon as possible, so we may change and work with them to submit required or necessary documents. So thank you so much. And then we'll go back to the top because we do see a few more. Does your TSP have any limitations? For example, CSU SLO notified me that in order to TSP to their engineering, the student needs to have graduated from one of their local SLO high schools. So are there any stipulations in regards to TSP?
Not currently. We're working with our local community colleges, but there is no limitations as far as the contract for TSP.
Okay. And Tammy, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
For the only thing I want to add is that not every program is available for TSP at Cal State LA. So for example, nursing is not a TSP program.
Thank you. Okay, and we're going to move along. So we're going to transition to our financial aid and scholarships department. We have some great financial aid updates for you. And we have our interim director of financial aid and scholarships, Linda Lopez. Hi, Linda.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Great to see all of you. If you were part of one of the most recent financial aid updates that I gave earlier this year, that provided earlier this year, it's good to see all of you. Thank you for your time and for your advocacy during these trivial times in financial aid. We know that FAFSA simplification has been anything but easy, and we are very well aware of some of the ongoing issues that students and community members and counselors and all of us in the profession are still experiencing. Okay, so a little bit about us. The Financial Aid Office is located in the Student Services Building. We offer virtual and walk-in services throughout the year. Our office hours are Monday through Friday from 10 to 3. Students can make virtual appointments throughout the summer or throughout the year with a specific financial aid advisor if they wish, but every student has a financial aid advisor assigned to them. And all students can meet with some of our staff at the front counter. Students can bring their parents, they can bring their family. We are open and available for services throughout the year. And I bring that up because sometimes, students and just community members sometimes think that the financial aid office closes in the summer, and we do not. We are open for services throughout the year. In order for students to be considered for financial aid, I think that those of you who are familiar with financial aid, you know that the two applications or the two current applications that still exist for financial aid consideration are the FAFSA and the California DREAM Act application. The priority deadline for the upcoming spring semester was May 2nd, 2024. We don't know yet when the application for 25-26 will open. According to the Department of Ed and the state of California, both applications are scheduled to open October 1st. But should that information be available any sooner, we'll post it on our website. And I'm sure that all of you will begin to see a lot of that information circulating online as to when students can apply for financial aid for the upcoming fall. But for the purpose of spring semester, the priority deadline was May 2nd. But that being said, we are aware of the ongoing issues associated with the FAFSA due to FAFSA simplification. And even though the priority deadline has passed, we encourage students to still continue to apply, and we are flexible with any other change in information or any students who missed the deadline due to the ongoing issues. So speaking of FAFSA simplification, just a quick summary of some of the changes that conceivably impacted students and families this past academic year, or possibly even in the future. Due to the linkage of information, some of these are positive, some of these are negative, but ultimately these are key changes that I think some of us in financial aid are still sort of adjusting. For new applicants, they don't know the difference, right? But I think it's helpful to know so that when we're navigating the process and speaking to students who have been in the process in the past or are new to the process, we know more or less how to explain financial aid information to them. So due to the linkage of information reported on the FAFSA with the current federal poverty levels, There are more students who qualified for a federal Pell Grant in 24-25. This is a good thing, right? We in financial aid have seen historically students who didn't qualify for Pell because they were considered middle income. Those students are now considered for the federal Pell Grant. They don't receive as much as students who are not middle income or who have a lower income, depending on the number of folks in their household. But ultimately, more students qualified for a federal Pell Grant in 24-25. Also, the change in terminology from expected family contribution to student aid index. You know, historically, those of us in financial aid, we have always referred to the EFC, right? And EFC was always an index that we used to determine how much financial aid a student can receive, or when speaking to students and families and really anybody, we would say, what's your EFC? Because that would give us an idea of what their financial aid award should or could include. This year, and effective 24-25, the expected family contribution concept is no longer in place, right? Now we use student aid index. And so in the past, the lowest EFC that a student could see was 0. This year, and from this point forward, until further notice, the lowest student aid index that a student could see is negative 1,500, right? So the concept is sort of the same, but the number scale is very different. I wouldn't say that the 0 EFC is equivalent to a negative 1,500, but it could potentially be the same, given that the feds are now linking the information reported on the FAFSA and the eligibility for financial aid to the federal poverty level. And lastly, you know, previously, if any of you are familiar with working with just different student populations who have unusual circumstances, you know that in the past, students who had unusual circumstances were unable to submit a FAFSA without parental information. One of the biggest changes this year is that this population of students is able to submit their financial aid application and receive provisional award information in order for them to make a well-informed decision on which college campus to attend. So these are key changes that through lots of sweat, blood, and tears, this past academic year, the current academic year, we've experienced, and you know, we expect to see lots of improvement in the future as we continue to go through the process of FAFSA simplification or just navigating financial aid entirely. Okay, so in my experience, you know, when assisting students with the process of applying for financial aid and with answering some of these questions, students will ask, you know, common questions that may come up, such as what is financial aid, where does it come from, what type of aid is available, who is typically eligible, and unfortunately, the probability of inaccurate information circulating is always high. Nowadays, you know, we find that through social media, it is really common for students and just folks in general to share or reshare information that could seem correct, but is sometimes taken out of context and may not apply to all students. You know, so I recommend that students always stick to official sources of information. Given our experience with FAFSA simplification this year, financial aid information is constantly changing. You know, for a minute there, it did feel like the information was changing daily. And, you know, so multiple streams of communication coming out from different places, or just trying to be consistent and control the information that comes out from financial aid offices is always key. And given that it is a changing landscape, you know, again, I recommend that students stick to official sources of information when wanting to answer some of these common questions. The application period for, you know, for 24-25 has not ended. But like I said, we are flexible with our current deadlines, and, you know, a lot of our information on our website is accurate, or we try to keep it as accurate as possible without causing too much confusion. So the type of financial aid that we administer here at Cal State LA is similar to the type of financial aid available at any community college in California. Encouraging students to fill out their financial aid application by the priority deadline is going to ensure that students are considered for maximum aid, you know, ensure and guarantee that students are considered for maximum aid throughout the year. Working with the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office is an ongoing process. You know, currently we have various workshops and info sessions with different groups throughout the school year to continue addressing some of the questions that were brought on by FAFSA simplification. every population of students is different, right? Every group is different. Every organization has different needs, but ultimately our goal here in the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office is to provide just transparent and clear, just transparent information about the type of financial aid that we administer and how students can apply, and also remind students about our deadlines so that they can be considered for maximum aid when applying for financial aid. When viewing our website, I think that it's key to remember that there's a difference between direct cost and indirect cost. I've been in financial aid for more than 18 years, and it's so interesting sometimes when students and parents and just everybody really thinks that the information that we see on our website must reflect, the true cost of tuition. Right. So when looking at the website and looking at cost of attendance, just my recommendation is that students always look at the actual cost. What does it really cost to go there? So that when students are receiving their financial aid award letters, they know if they were offered enough and if they will have to pay out of pocket or if they need to consider accepting their loans. So at Cal State LA, for a California resident, undergraduate tuition for a full-time student is $35.79 per semester. Full-time is considered anything above 12 units. Half-time is considered anything between 1 to 6 units. And this is a California resident. So with that in mind, this is an example of a typical financial aid award for a majority of our students at Cal State LA. We notify students about their financial aid awards via email. And the award letter, this is again an example, right? Just to give you all an idea of the type and the amount of financial aid that we offer a majority of our students here at Cal State LA. This is an example of a student who's eligible for federal aid. And as you can see here in the offered column, this student was offered a total of $26,900 for one academic year. This amount includes loans. If the student chooses not to borrow their loans, then they were offered or they are eligible for a total of $14,515 per year. All right, and this is very common, this is very standard. A majority of our students who apply for financial aid qualify for federal aid, federal Pell Grant aid, the maximum amount of federal Pell Grant aid, which is what you see here. So just using this as an example, the question that comes up is, did I get enough financial aid? Will I have enough financial aid to cover my tuition or to cover my housing or to cover my books? And in this example, the answer is yes. The student was offered $14,000 without loans, and that means $7,000 per semester, right? Half in the fall, half in the spring, $7,000 per semester. And if this student was attending full time, $3,500 is well below $7,000. In fact, the student was offered more than enough to cover their tuition and receive excess funds to pay for books or any other academic expenses. And so this is really the point where if you're familiar with financial aid, when we begin to send out award letters, when we begin to contact students via email, this is the point in the process where students make these well-informed decisions, and understanding the information that they see on their award letters is what's going to help them make this decision of affordability and coming to Cal State LA. Okay, so just some key reminders. I know that there's a lot of different students who apply for financial aid from different walks of life, different experiences. And like I said before, just familiarization and with the process and meeting deadlines, it's going to help students streamline the path of transferring to any university. Reminders to reapply every year. Financial aid doesn't, unless the student is going to pay out of pocket, it is an ongoing process. Students need to reapply every single year. We are here to serve and assist students throughout the year. So if ever there is a change in the circumstances, because we know that things happen, due to COVID, sometimes parents lose their jobs, parents work less hours, students lose their jobs, sometimes students lose a parent. A lot of things can happen. Students can always contact the financial aid office and let us know of any unusual circumstances that are impacting their eligibility for aid, right, such as reduced work hours. Also, specifically for transfer students, any students who are receiving a Cal Grant at their community college, we recommend and we encourage that students do the work and transfer that Cal Grant information with them. I think now in 2024, the California Student Aid Commission has improved their website significantly, and it's a lot easier to navigate, but sometimes students they don't transfer that Cal Grant information with them when they transfer from school to school, assuming they still have eligibility. And there is a probability that they can lose their Cal Grant if they don't transfer that with them. And then lastly, remember to add Cal State LA to their financial aid application. This is key. This should probably one of the very first steps that students take when they are admitted and when they decide, no, when they are admitted, right? And they're making a decision and wanting to decide if they're going to be transferring now is adding those new schools to their financial aid application so that we can receive their financial aid information in advance and notify them in a timely fashion. Speaking of notifying in a timely fashion, these are some of the common financial aid notifications, communications, emails that we are going to be sending out in preparation for spring, starting with our provisional award letter. Just like the traditional students and the students who apply in the fall semester, our very first financial aid letter is the provisional award letter where it's essentially an estimate of the types of financial aid that a student may receive according to the estimated information that we have on file. We then move on to sending out any missing information letters to students where we invite them or encourage them and ask them and plead that they turn in any missing information so that we can later convert their estimated awards into actual awards. And so the actual award letter, which is the final award letter, is where the student sees the type of financial aid that they were offered. And they make these decisions on if they're going to accept their aid or if they're going to accept their loans or if they may have to pay out of pocket. If you have any further questions or if you want to reach us throughout the summer or if you have anybody who may want to reach, as you know, nowadays we have a lot of QR codes. So here is a QR code of a lot of different sections of our website that we have found are the most common questions, specifically starting with how to view their financial aid award. Once students receive these award letters, we understand that there's just a lot of information on there and it's a little overwhelming. So our website has information about how to navigate their aid and how to get to the section on their portal where they can see their awards. Meeting with a financial aid advisor, like I said, we are available virtually. We are also available in person throughout the year. If your students or any students need to submit documentation, they can submit information through our website. There is no need to come to the building in the middle of summer and wait in line to submit documents when we have the ability to do so online. Okay, so this concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, Linda. We are going to head over to the Q&A right now, and I'm just going to go back to some prior questions. Will there be another meeting like this, but for fall 25? Also, when is fall 25 admission? And thank you, Tammy, for your response in the chat. We will offer a fall 25 update in October for our counselors. The fall 25 application period opens October 1st. And if we possibly have any students with us, we will also do student information sessions that will take place for fall information. We will also, of course, be opening October 1st for you wonderful students. Tammy, I see that you responded to this question as well. Thank you. Can you please confirm that round 2 of admission allows all eligible students to be admitted local and non-local to impacted majors except for nursing and music, bachelor's of music. So local priority comes into play only in round 3. And then Tammy's wonderful response, local preference will come into play in round 3 only. All local applicants who meet required MSC except for nursing and music will be guaranteed admission into the program. We have a question for you, Anna. What if a student did dual enrollment while in high school? So technically they will have a class that they did at the college while in high school. Do they still qualify for TSP and the rule that they should not have any college coursework after they complete their high school diploma?
So yes, they would still qualify because they would have taken that coursework before they graduated high school.
Thank you. Do any offer transfer specific scholarships? Okay, so I will turn that over to Linda.
Currently, we do not, but we do offer scholarships for continuing students. So all scholarship information is available on our website. Once a student is admitted, then they can apply for our continuing student scholarship application.
Thank you. Any consideration for removing the ADT requirement for psychology majors for fall 25 or onward?
So for that one, I've heard conversations, but it has not been officially discussed yet. So for now, ADT is still one of the requirements for the psych BA.
Thank you, Tammy. Do you offer the California Promise program? And yes, we offer the California Promise program. We are a participating campus. Anything that you would like to add, Tammy?
It's only for certain programs. So for Cal State LA, currently we are only offering it for communications majors, computer information system, communicative disorders, and political science. And students have to have an ADT.
Thank you, Tammy. If a student has done well at a CC but was at another CSU prior with not good academic standing, how is that viewed?
So for Cal States, we typically look at the last school attended. So if their last school was at a CC, so that's where we'll look at good standing. However, just to keep in mind for CSUs, if you were expelled or suspended from another CSU, you're precluded from attending another CSU, except until your suspension is expired or the expulsion is removed. So that's the only thing. But keep in mind too, their overall GPA still matters. So whatever they got at that CSU and at the CC needs to be averaged out to at least a 2.0 transferable GPA.
Thank you, Tammy. My understanding is that summer courses after high school also won't prohibit a student from participating in the transfer success pathway. Can you confirm? And Tammy said, yes, summer coursework will not exclude a student from TSP. Thank you. Okay. All right. Everyone, thank you so much for your time and joining us. We are very excited to work with you this academic year, and you will be hearing a lot more from Cal State LA. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you join our mailing list. Look at our counselor resource page. We have a lot of resources and information there to keep you updated on everything that is Cal State LA, as well as our events and activities that we'll be hosting for counselors, students, and families and supporters. With that being said, thank you so much, and everyone have an amazing day. Bye-bye.